There, my name is Kelly and I wanted to talk about bipolar. I myself am bipolar. I was diagnosed in September of 2013 and I just wanted to talk to you about it, and hopefully this video will help somebody who is also bipolar. I stayed in a mental health facility last year. What started it was I was at work one day and just composing an email. You know, just regular, doing an email, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt like I was the president of the United States. And so that kind of freaked me out a little bit, and so I texted my boyfriend and I said, hey, I feel like I'm the president of the United States. You might want to come get me. So he said, I'll be right there. And while I was waiting for him, excuse me, while I was waiting for him to come get me, I had another delusion that there was this big, gigantic eyeball with tentacles waiting for me outside my building at work. So that kind of freaked me out too. So he came and picked me up and we went directly to the ER, and while I was waiting in the hospital bed at the ER, Santa Claus and his reindeer were waiting for me in the bathroom. So that was a little freaky. I had to do a drug test, obviously. They wanted to make sure I wasn't high on any kind of drugs, which I wasn't. I don't do drugs. I don't need to do drugs to see the shit that I see. So that came back negative. So from the ER, I was transported via ambulance to a mental health facility where I stayed a week and a half. And that's where I was diagnosed as bipolar. And medication I was put on was risperidone. I believe it's 3 milligrams. Yeah, 3 milligrams of risperidone. And I was put on Lamictal. And the Lamictal didn't do anything. Well, okay, to be honest, I wasn't on it long enough to know if it did anything. I was only on it for maybe a week and a half, and it turned me into a zombie, a complete zombie. So I didn't want to be on it anymore. So I voluntarily took myself off of it. I just quit taking it. And which probably wasn't a good thing. I don't recommend doing that. I'm not an advocate of just voluntarily taking yourself off medication, but that's what I did. And so, let's talk about the hospital. The hospital that I stayed at was fantastic. The staff was great. The food was great. I'm a smoker. We got smoke breaks, and that's unheard of at hospitals, okay? Totally unheard of. They don't let you smoke, but this one let us smoke. We got to talk to each other. We had groups, but honestly, the hospital didn't do anything for me. Nothing at all when I stayed there. The groups were useless, pretty much. We didn't really talk about anything beneficial. So the hospital didn't really do anything for me. All I could think about was wanting to get the hell out of there. Not because it was a bad place to stay, it just, I didn't want to be there. I didn't have any delusions while I was in the hospital. The only delusions I had were the ones that I had before I went in there. And the rest of the time I was fine. I felt like I was a completely sane person in a crazy place. And I didn't belong there. That's what it felt like. Everyone else was the crazy people, and I was the only sane person in there. And that I didn't belong. And all I wanted to do was get the hell out of there. So, I was discharged after a week and a half. And came back home, thank God. And I was seeing a nurse practitioner. And I gotta say, I thought she was really cool at first. She seemed like she kind of knew what she was doing, but come to find out, I don't think she really knew what she was doing. She was like, you know, trying to keep me on the Lamictal, even though I didn't want to stay on it. And then she was like, okay, well, let's try this, but I never actually went on any other kind of medication. She just kept me on the risperidone, and actually I went up to 10 milligrams of risperidone, which was way too much risperidone for me. I was rocking back and forth constantly, which was really, really bad. And I couldn't sit still. and that felt like crap. What else? So, actually what happened with her was I ran out of risperidone. I needed a refill. And I messaged her via text message and asked her to refill my prescription, to call in a prescription, and she never did. So I was totally out of medication. She never texted me back, never called me, totally quit communicating with me altogether. So I don't know what happened with that. I don't know why she quit talking to me. I don't know if something happened to her. I hope she's okay, but I don't know why she quit communicating with me. It was really weird. But so after that, I had nobody. I had no therapist. I had a therapist, but I quit talking to her because she did this weird thing with these vibrating balls and wanted me to imagine this weird stuff, and it didn't work, and she was cuckoo. So I quit talking to her. And it's really hard to find a good therapist, by the way. One that you can trust and one that I have a good one now. But anyway, I digress. So I quit talking to her. I went 4 months without medication. I didn't have any money to see anybody, so I had to go 4 months without a psychiatrist, 4 months without a therapist. I do not recommend anybody who is bipolar to go that long without medication. I wasn't a wreck. I wasn't a total wreck. I actually did pretty well. My symptoms weren't that bad, so I didn't do too bad. My anxiety was pretty low. I wasn't hallucinating. I wasn't having any delusions. I wasn't hearing any voices, so it wasn't that bad. I got lucky, actually. It was really what it was. I got really lucky. But come February of 2014, the following year, my symptoms started getting worse. I started hearing voices again. My racing thoughts started coming back really bad. So I thought it was time that I had money again at the time. So I thought it was time to find a psychiatrist again and find a therapist, which I did. And I have a very good psychiatrist and a very good therapist now. So the psychiatrist that I have now put me on Topamax, and I went back on risperidone. I'm only on 6 milligrams of risperidone now. I still rock back and forth, but it's not as bad. I go to therapy once a week, which is very important. I definitely recommend anybody who's bipolar, you have to go to therapy. You have to go to your psychiatrist. You have to do these things. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Talk about some of my delusions. Some of my latest ones that I had was in Africa. I had a delusion that I was in Africa. Again, it always happens when I'm at work. I think because when a lot of my anxiety happens when I'm at work. So when I have high stress, I start having delusions. But I started having a delusion that my office building was in Africa. And the outside was Aborigines chanting and doing their thing. There was waist-high weeds. There was lions outside. The whole nine. Excuse me. And another one was the 70s. It was the 70s. I was expecting to see people walking around in bell-bottoms, butterfly collar shirts, braids in their hair, and flowers in their hair. These are the kind of delusions that I have. I haven't heard voices in a really long time. I used to hear voices. I used to have homicidal thoughts really bad. If I had any kind of object in my hand, like scissors or a knife, if I was cutting meat or something, anybody that walked by me or one of my dogs or something, I would have an image in my head flash that I was stabbing them or just disemboweling them. That used to be really bad, and it got to the point where I almost have no control, where I felt like I was going to actually do it. And I haven't had that in a really long time. So the medication, obviously, I guess, is working. Let's see what else. So, for anybody who has been diagnosed as bipolar, when I was diagnosed as bipolar, I didn't take it seriously at all. I didn't think it was a joke, but I just didn't take it seriously. I thought, okay, this is something that I can manage. It's going to be so easy. You know, just take some medication, the medication will work, and it'll be no problem. Being bipolar is a lot of work. It's a lot of mind control. You have to control your anxiety. You have to control your depression. You have to take your medication. You have to be vigilant on when you take your medication. You have to make sure you go to therapy regularly. You have to make sure you take advantage of your therapy. Yeah, it's easy to go to therapy, but what do you talk about in therapy? You have to make sure you take full advantage of your therapy. Yeah, you can just go, but what do you talk about when you get there? What do you want to talk about? What do you talk about when you go to your psychiatrist? What are you going to tell her or him? You have to make sure that you're letting them know about your medication. Is the medication working for you? Do you think you need to tweak it a little bit? I told my psychiatrist that maybe we should increase my risperidone. My risperidone helps. It's an antipsychotic, and it helps my OCD. I have OCD really bad. And off topic a little bit, talking about some of my symptoms. My OCD that I have is a different kind of OCD compared to probably the OCD that is most common, what people think about OCD. I worry a lot. I worry incessantly. I worry that my house is going to catch on fire. I worry that when it rains, lightning's going to hit my house and it's going to catch on fire. I worry that my dogs are going to die. I worry that the air conditioning in my house is going to break because it's so hot. I live in Arizona. I worry that the AC is going to break and that my dogs are going to die because it's so hot. I worry that one of the doors are going to open, the dogs are going to get out, we're never going to find them, or they're going to get heat exhaustion. I worry that I'm going to die and that my boyfriend's going to have to give our dogs away and he's going to lose the house. I worry that my boyfriend is going to die of a heart attack and that I'm not going to be able to survive and I'm not going to be able to keep our house. And I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. These are things that I worry about every single day, all day long. And I recently learned that my anxiety is caused by my OCD. I suffer from anxiety really bad. I get anxiety attacks. Money is another issue for me. If I have to spend money, I get anxiety really bad. If I'm low on money, I get anxiety really bad because I think it's just going to disappear if it gets to a certain level. You know, if it gets too low, it's just going to disappear altogether. So it's really important for me to be careful about how I worry about things and manage my anxiety level, because medication isn't going to fix that. I can't just pop a pill and my anxiety go away. I have to manage it mentally. There's coping skills. I take baths. Taking a bath helps my anxiety a lot. Crocheting helps my anxiety a lot. Making jewelry helps my anxiety a lot. So there's coping skills that you can develop to help you get through things without running to a medication. So being bipolar is a big deal. It's very serious. And I hope that if you just found out that you were diagnosed with having this disorder, that it's not the end of the world. It's really not. Yes, it is difficult and it is a struggle every single day, but it's manageable. Go to your appointments, take your medication. Even though you're feeling better, you still need to take your medication. Go to your appointments regularly. See your therapist every day or weekly. See them when you're supposed to see them. Do what you're supposed to do, and you'll get through it. Don't let it get the best of you. You can do it. You can manage it. Self-help books help a lot. There's a lot of worksheets inside the books that will help you. If you have pets, pets help a lot. I have 3 dogs. My dogs help me a lot with my depression and with my anxiety. Breathing techniques help a lot. Meditation, if you're into meditation, that helps a lot. So, I hope to have some more videos up, talking more about in-depth some of my symptoms and some of my OCD, how to get through some more coping skills, how to develop coping skills, maybe going through some of the workbooks, a lot of talking about how I developed some of my coping skills, because a lot of the coping skills that I developed didn't come out of a book. There's stuff that I just developed over the years on my own. I hope this video has helped. And if, again, like I said, if you were just diagnosed with bipolar, or if you've been living with bipolar, I really hope this video has helped you out, knowing that you're not alone. There are other people out there like you, and you're not alone. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe and comment below and let me know what you think, and let me know if you have any suggestions for any other videos. Thanks a lot. Bye.